Hi, this is JD and I am here with Joyce Talk. The fourth industrial revolution is a fusion of advances in artificial intelligence, robotics, the Internet of Things, genetic engineering, quantum computing, and more. The characteristics of the fourth industrial revolution are destined to bring about different impacts on employment. A lot of jobs will disappear, but there will be a lot of new job requirements. More than 65% of children entering primary school today will end up working in completely new jobs that currently do not exist when they enter the workplace 15 years from now. People may be more concerned about what types of jobs are at high risk than specific numbers. So, which jobs are at a greatest risk? What jobs will be safe in the future? All these positive disruptions necessitate major reengineering in employment space, including compensation planning. Universal basic income is being discussed across countries in this context. Today, my story is about minimum wage, guaranteed minimum income, and universal basic income. Ever since the first industrial revolution, philosophers, thinkers, and leaders were concerned and brought in better labor laws. Increasing automation potentially raises global income levels and improve the quality of life for population around the world, but it could lead to greater inequality, particularly in its potential to disrupt labor markets. Furthermore, the job market may become increasingly segregated into low skill, low pay, and high skill, high pay roles. Before I continue, as usual, I would request you to subscribe to my channel. Hey, this is going to get bigger by the day, so hit the notification bell icon to keep in touch and keep a tab on my future episodes. Please also like or dislike and put in your valuable comments. Do share my content if you like them. Now, my number one point of today's episode is minimum wage. Minimum wages have been defined as the minimum amount of remuneration that an employer is required to pay wage earners for the work performed during a given period, which cannot be reduced by collective agreement or an individual contract. This definition refers to the binding nature of minimum wages regardless of the method of fixing them. Minimum wages can be set by statute, decision of a competent authority, a wage board, a wage council, or by industrial or labor courts or tribunals. Minimum wages can also be set by giving the force of law to provisions of collective agreement. The purpose of minimum wage is to protect workers against unduly low pay. They help ensure a just and equitable share of the fruits of progress to all, and the minimum living wage to all who are employed and need of such protection. Minimum wages can also be one element of a policy to overcome poverty and reduce inequality, including those between men and women, by promoting the right to equal remuneration for work of equal value. Minimum wage system should not be seen or used in isolation, but should be designed in a way to supplement and reinforce other social and employment policies. Several types of measures can be used to tackle income and labor market inequality, including pro-employment policies, social transfers, and creating an enabling environment for sustainable enterprises. However, critics point out that companies, not the government, should decide how much staff deserves to be paid. This is a high elasticity of there is a high elasticity of demand for low skilled labor. This means that a small change in the price for a low skilled labor could have a large effect on its demand. As a result, too high a minimum wage could lead to increasing unemployment among the low skilled. In modern times, the proliferation of improved technology also increases the marginal rate of technical substitution for low skilled labor. When the cost of labor increases, companies find it increasingly profitable to switch to labor replacing technology. Now, I'll come to the second point, that is guaranteed minimum income. Guaranteed minimum income, also called minimum income, is a social welfare system that guarantees all citizens or families an income sufficient to live on, provided that certain eligibility conditions are met. Rather than providing equal and unrestricted cash payments to every resident, guaranteed income argues for providing cash payments to specific targeted communities of people with the express goal of addressing income inequality. Guaranteed minimum income focuses on people living below poverty line or with inconsistent or no income, and it serves as a built-in income floor for those without one. People who already have an income that allows them to meet their basic needs likely would not be eligible for cash payments through a guaranteed minimum income. That is a guaranteed minimum income program. Now the third point, that is universal basic income. Universal basic income is a government program in which every adult citizen receives a set amount of money on a regular basis. The idea of universal basic income has gained momentum in the US as automation increasingly replaces workers in manufacturing and other sectors of the economy. Andrew Yang, son of a Taiwanese immigrant, is a former lawyer, an entrepreneur, philanthropist, political commentator, and had ran for 2020 US presidential elections. Andrew Yang's signature policy was freedom dividend, a universal basic income of $1,000 a month to every adult American as a response to job loss because of automation. Uniform basic income is being discussed across the world as a concept for some time now. The pandemic did speed up the largest test yet of universal basic income, as economists welcome the chance to see whether giving people cash to spend however they choose improves livelihood. Spain's government has started quite but might just be remembered as the world's biggest economic experiment. On 15 June 2020, spurred by the coronavirus crisis and its economic fallout, it launched a website offering monthly payments of up to Euro 1015 or US dollar 1145 to the nation's poorest families. The program, which will support 850,000, that is 850,000 households, is the largest test yet of an idea called universal basic income, in which people are given a cash payment each month to spend however they choose. It has been often discussed but never satisfactorily tested, and economists around the world are watching closely to see what the impact of the scheme on livelihood will be. The move comes at a time of unprecedented economic turmoil brought on by the coronavirus pandemic. Spain was one of the hardest hit countries in the early days of the pandemic. The nationwide lockdown curbed the spread of the virus but came at a staggering financial price. Millions of people lost their jobs as the economy shrank rapidly, putting many of the most vulnerable citizens at risk. If there is ever an opportunity to try to push for some sort of income floor that can be paid out in cash to people, this is the time to do it, says Damon Jones, an economist at the University of Chicago in Illinois. Now, the fourth industrial revolution represents a fundamental change in the way we live, work, and relate to one another. It is a new chapter in human development, enabled by extraordinary technology advances commensurate with those of the first, second, and third industrial revolution. These advances are merging the physical, digital, and biological worlds in ways that create both huge promise and potential peril. Elon Musk, the great visionary, observes that, quote, there will be fewer jobs that the robo cannot do better, unquote. Redistribution is the issue for Jordan Peterson, cultural critic and psychologist. As a matter of fact, 670,000 jobs have been lost to automation in USA between 1990 and 2007. This figure can only go north. Studies say that almost half the jobs in USA are going to be taken over by robots, which definitely includes delivery, trucking, cab driving, cashiers at checkout counters, picking fruits, cutting trees, manning warehouses, operating machines, etc. But this is a case of creative destruction mankind cannot avoid. Klaus Schwab, founder and executive chairman of the World Economic Forum, writes, quote, all previous industrial revolutions have had both positive and negative impacts on different stakeholders. Nations have become wealthier and technologies have helped pull entire societies out of poverty but the inability to fairly distribute the resulting benefits or anticipate externalities has resulted in global challenges. By recognizing the risks, whether cybersecurity threats, misinformations on a massive scale through digital media, potential unemployment, or increasing social and income inequality, sorry, we can take the steps to align common human values with our technological progress and ensure that the fourth industrial revolution benefits human beings first and foremost. Unquote. Right from the first industrial revolution, industrialization and automation brought changes, enhancing capacity and creating new opportunities. This time, it is the advent of artificial intelligence. It does not need any human supervision due to self-learning and self-correcting capabilities. A cognitive complex culture is taking shape. Can a person without computer education survive in this new order? How will society rehabilitate so many displaced people? The very concept of universal basic income evolved ever since the first industrial revolution, and historically founding fathers of United States like Thomas Paine, Martin Luther King, and economist Milton Friedman were supporters of universal basic income. Universal basic income can take care of the situation emerging as a follow-up of the so-called fourth industrial revolution, but at the same time it can be toxic too. It can change a country like USA into a welfare state, and people without adequate qualification may lose the urge to go out and work. It can lead to a society with a lack of meaning and dignity in individuals. Alcoholism, drug abuse, purposelessness, and lack of self-respect may take precedence. However, present-day champions of universal basic income like Mr. Andrew Yang proposes a different view. They say that universal basic income would not be sufficient to carry on with life, but help you and provide you with the necessary support. What is your opinion?